Take the Venge instead.
The Vengeful Spirit.
I think the last time they ran Venge was when they had the Mars pickup, right? As their 3.
Yeah, they had a weird... that was versus an Enigma, too, I think. I want to say, is that why they had the Venge? Or maybe that was a different game. But, yeah, not that sold on the Venge 5. Oh, yeah, it definitely was a Venge 5, because then there wasn't an Enigma. Because I think I was thinking, like, huh, that's weird to see Venge without an Enigma these days. Because I feel like her swap's just not as powerful as it felt before. And, you know, her whole value now seems to be actually getting auras and items on the illusion. And if you're a 5, then you don't get those.
I mean, I'm wondering if they want to bump it up to a higher position, potentially. I think the Venge is pretty strong right now. Like the 10-second, is it 10-second cooldown or whatever it is?
It is a 10-second cooldown when you get
stun.
Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I meant the stun.
Oh,
Magic
the stun.
Missile. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty low as well. But yeah, the Ags also.
Yes, it's 10 seconds because you get a minus 6-second cooldown at level 20, which makes it go down to 4-second.
Yeah, you can get 2 of them off chasing down a hero in a safe lane.
Whoa, that's a hero that we haven't seen a ton at this event.
That's
I think we've only had 1 or 2 picks of it, right?
Yeah, we saw him earlier today, too. He looked great. The Warlock was kind of slaying it. So, benefits over a Keeper of the Light is that he's even better at securing a safe lane or its farm and just ensuring they're going to be able to stay in the lane the entire time. So that leads me to think things like Spectre. Who else do we like a lot with it?
Whoa. All right, well,
Centaur.
They're saying if you're going to show your bid nice and early, we're going to go ahead and pick a 4th Broodmother.
So you're saying the Centaur is the answer to the Broodmother?
Well, they committed the... I think what's nice about this is they just committed to that Warlock, so now you can't make this an Invoker support, right? Like,
yeah.
They didn't instantly counterpick the Invoker, so now... I mean, my first reaction is you send the Centaur mid, right? But even then, that's still not a great answer. It's not like you're going to kill the Broodmother. It's just like, oh, I have someone who's not going to die relentlessly to Broodmother, but she's still going to get really farmed. And then you have a side lane Invoker.
Well, so what are some of the...
Kunkka's the obvious one.
Kunkka.
And
There's
Tiny.
Monkey King still out there as well.
Tiny.
Yeah. Tiny, yeah. There's a lot of pretty good...
But how do you run that with... Do you have to do side lane Invoker at that point then?
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
It's still playable. I'm really curious why they took Invoker and not just Kunkka. I feel like you're playing against a team that is the only one who still picks Brood. I feel like Kunkka's just better Invoker. I'd be very curious why they didn't opt for that. But I'm going to ban that Pudge. Boxy's shown that one off a couple times. So they're thinking that it's his hero that's left in the pool, which is reasonable considering what they've already picked.
And they still don't have a ton of synergy with the Chen healing aura. They've got so far the lifesteal off of the Broodmother, but
yeah, that would have been pretty nice. Yeah.
I feel like there's a ton of team fight on EHOME if they go, particularly if it's like a Quas Wex Invoker.
Yes.
And on the other side of Liquid, I feel like they're really heavily committed to winning these lanes hard and then just keeping the pressure on. And I don't know, in a way, I almost feel like it's worth it just to take whatever you can not to get dominated in the lanes like that Kunkka or like that Tiny at this point.
I kind of like Gyro here, and they make it Boxy Venge. Ooh, they take the Tiny. So they ban the Naga and take the Tiny themselves. Interesting.
Go Kunkka.
So what's Mickey playing? What's Boxy playing? Do we
I
assume
was
it is the
thinking
Boxy
originally
Tiny?
this was going to be a safe lane Leshrac.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that still fits, right? Because then you would have Boxy Tiny with Venge.
Yeah, the only other mix is it could be the safe lane Venge if they wanted to, but I think I'd prefer the Leshrac myself.
Safe lane Venge with 4 Tiny and 3 Lesh.
Yeah, I think that sounds better. I think that you want to have Taiga on a hero that can just run around and do some stuff, and I don't think that's Venge.
Yeah.
I could also be down for a 3 Venge. I would be down for that as well. Either way. I mean, what's
now
his
you're
matchup?
speaking my language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're very skirmishy, very all mid-game oriented for Liquid, right? So you see that now. You have the Warlock. You can pretty much pick whatever late-game hero you want.
This is great.
I mean, this is such a EHOME have just gone for one of those classic Dota 2 lineups.
Yep.
You know, a hard 5 position, making sure your hard carry has a good lane. You've got an off-lane initiator, a semi-carry, magic damage dealing mid. Meanwhile, Liquid's trying to do everything they can to hoodwink you.
Yeah, I don't like the Liquid lineup. I feel like it's sort of simultaneously built for like fighting and taking towers mid game, but I don't think that they have the better team fight. Like when sixes come online, you can just stampede if the fight looks bad and just get out of there. Like they've got a lot of disengage.
I'm worried about the cooldowns for Warlock.
Isn't this the... I think this is the first Chen game that Liquid have played, right? I'm pretty sure I had it in my notes that I wasn't sure if Insania was a Chen player because they just haven't been picking it.
He still isn't.
And he still isn't because Taiga's going to be playing it. So maybe that gives a little bit more credence to that theory. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
do
you even have to be a Chen player anymore. Like, it's not that,
It's
an
not that
aura,
yeah.
I don't want to flame the Chen players, but come on. Snith is not out there being like, my 3,000th game. He's done,
That's
I
true.
think. He finished out on the old Chen, so...
I think that it is like a more team-oriented hero now, though, that you have to like be good around playing around the recall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think the best Chen teams can max it out there as we get the little group
Nice.
hug.
Hug it out. Very good.
Let's all love each other. Okay.
Wow, you're better than the other translator they had.
Oh, Jesus, Trent.
With no regard
MDL
for human
hired
life.
us. MDL hired us, Trent. You can't do this to
Oh
them.
shit! Sorry. All right, my bad. I'm gonna take Liquid. I think one bad rock and Liquid can do it. A lot of pressure on VT Fatal on his initiations. Go Liquid.
Okay. I'm gonna
Tease
say
him.
I think EHOME got it. I don't know. I'm afraid of Broodmother not doing anything.
Conservative Gabe just doesn't want to go for the risky
much.
lineup of Liquid. Goes with the good old standard that EHOME have drafted. Well, I have no idea where I'm going in all this, so I'm going to leave it to our casters. We've got Odie,
Wow.
Pixel, and Gods.
Thank you very much, Cap. Yeah, looking forward to this one, Parker. We're getting, I want to say, a bit of a new hero, right? The Sven, a carry that not a lot of teams want to really touch, but here we have it. EHOME saying 5th pick. This is going to be our answer to the Spider and gang that Liquid have brought to the fray.
Perhaps digging a bit from the bottom of the barrel. All the other answers to the Brood are kind of not in the pool anymore. We've seen the Naga in one of the games. That was banned, Kunka banned, so let's get Sven. VT faded. Curious to see if he's even going to be going... I believe he may even be going mid because you do not want to lane Invoker versus the Brood, so... He's got some pulled tangos, and it does look like it will be his lane to go to.
Yeah, we'll see sort of, how Quoifer plays against that and how many spiders do end up getting fed away to that bit of cleave. You would imagine Quoifer, he's got a fair few hundred games under his belt in the old Spider, so I'm sure he's seen a few Sven mids being picked to counter him in the days. But I guess it's just, you're picking that hero, right, that's going to be able to deal with the pressure of a Brood mid. It's not going to get overrun. You're going to be able to sort of hold back the wave and make sure that you don't feed. It's bottom lane, EHOME. They've already found themselves a bit of a way to start the game off. A grab back and a drag back into the clutches of VT Faded, and EHOME will take first blood as they bring down Insania.
Mikke at least grabs the bounty rune. He won the right-click battle, but it will still be, the first blood of EHOME going to Fabian. Not the worst hero, not the best hero. You'd love to get that on your mid laner on VT Fade. If he got that first blood, he'd be very happy against the Brood Mama, but even so, he should have a fairly good lane here. Playing with the Stout Shield, not much right-click damage that Quoifer can deal onto him.
Yeah, so obviously having this change because of the Brood, getting the Sven Lust, putting it mid, as you say, you're switching it up, you're putting this Invoker in the side lane. I mean, this is not an ideal situation, right? The Invoker side lane, what's sort of the downsides of this? Why is this not the optimal thing to do?
Invoker wants solo experience, first and foremost. This is a hero that benefits so much from levels. That's why the old build for Invoker was you'd always get Midas. You don't see that as much. Sometimes on Quaswex Invoker, you still get after Spirit Vessel, but this hero getting slow levels just means he does a whole lot less. And this Warlock Invoker lane is just kind of lackluster. These two heroes don't really do a whole lot together. Cold Snap plus, I guess, Shadow Word have some synergy, but they're going to struggle to win this last hit battle with the Tiny.
Yeah, you should certainly expect to see Boxy have a pretty solid time cleaning up the CS.
Yeah. Now, Invoker, usually in the mid lane, you want to even just, like, if you're playing Quaswex, you're using, like, your Tornado to secure creeps and stuff. In a 2v2 lane, you need to use your mana for the, like, basically harass wars and to play the actual lane with your teammates. So you can't use your spells quite as freely just to go for last hits. But the other two lanes should go well for EHOME. You don't have to have like a free farming Invoker who dominates to win this game, particularly when you're looking at Quaswex build.
Yeah, well, down on the bottom lane, we're seeing obviously the duo of Mickey and Insania farming away against Faith Bian and Xingqiu. They're getting good control here as well with the pulls and such. You can see in the CS, Mickey sitting there confidently up towards the top, not really feeling phased at all by the presence of EHOME's heroes down bottom, so not a lot of pressure as of yet. Mid lane though, we're certainly seeing, I guess, what we expected. Sven mid is going to be able to get that free farm against the Brood. Quakefoot will be able to keep himself even between the lane and the neutral camp just towards the side of it all.
Yeah. Always, I feel like Brood feels a bit nicer to play on Radiant just because you do have the neutral camp so close to the lane. So it does feel a bit stronger when picked as Radiant. Quakefoot's plan is pretty much bottom lane.
He's got that Fairy Fire. And with that south going, does get cancelled there by the right click of Xingqiu, but will at least save Insania's life. He is just down, I believe, toward the last tango, though. Oh, he's just had a...
Oh, meanwhile, top 897 game going on, but he looks okay.
Yeah, they've got their Shadow Word here going. As well as the old magic from Invoker, healing him back up with that extra regen.
The key thing with this mid lane is, yeah, what we see VT Fade, he's coming in to contest these neutral camps because this isn't really a 1v1 lane. It's kind of like Brood's playing just jungle and away from Sven, and Sven, it's up to him to kind of impose himself on this lane if he wants to, so.
Yeah, no, this is nice. The fact that he can just run up and do that, and Quakefoot alone can't really do much at all to stop him from getting away with. No. With sort of contesting that little safe spot of farm that I mentioned earlier that you normally would hope to have as a Brood in the middle lane, especially if it's a lane matchup where you can't just sort of dominate the enemy mid.
Yeah, anytime Sven comes at the Brood and his Spiderlings, he's just going to send them to another camp and play away from Sven. So unlikely to see much action or kills in that mid lane without any kind of a rotation, which I don't think either team really wants to make. Brace are already up on VT Faded. He's pretty unkillable, and Brood very mobile in the webs, so these side lanes more likely where we see the action.
Yeah, and this top lane continuing to be a lane where you can see Boxy getting a large amount of CS, a good amount of denies as well, yep. Which is just going to slow down the Invoker game even further. So this is the sacrifice that they are having to make EHOME with this Invoker side lane. It's going to be a very slow start for 897.
Yeah, good old Harpy Stormcrafter. This is the king of Chen creeps when it comes to getting an early level 1 creep. It just does so much damage with the Chain Lightning. 140 initial damage and basically an unlimited mana pool to use it.
It's a good job that they do have at least the Warlock up there. So there's at least some sort of sustain to help out if 897 does get brought low.
Yeah, I think 897's regretting not buying a magic stick maybe in this lane. He would have had basically 10 charges from all of that. Tiger denies a bounty rune up top from Y.
Boxy will be able to grab the one over towards his side. Faded, I mean, he's going to hit some good item timings with his mid Sven. I mean, it'll be a bit interesting to see what he does once he sort of has the phase and the echo. Because do you feel like, because you are sort of the mid laner in this scenario, you are going to have to get active with the phase echo, or do you want to look to, can you sort of take a chill pill and farm up that next big item and sort of still play the greedier route?
He can still farm and be a bit greedy. He's still the carry, end of the day. Invoker's not getting like your free farm kind of lane up here. Is actually struggling the most of these 3 Dire cores.
Oh, talking about getting active, he certainly is. Rotation towards the top lane, and he comes as soon as he hits level 6, ready to use that God Strength to chop down Tiger. And get themselves a bit of action up top and free up that lane a little bit more for 897 to be a little more confident with being able to hit the creeps without the presence of 2 heroes being there on Liquid.
Yeah, had a triple stack there waiting for him, which was partly the reason why he wanted to make that move up top. Even if the Tiny managed to save his buddy there with that toss, VT Faded was happy to use that ultimate to clear out that wave.
Bottom lane, Mickey is in trouble. Faith Bian and Xingqiu will get on top of them. Magic Missile from Insania holds back the Centaur for a little bit, but Mickey is incredibly low. He's trying to hide in the trees for as long as he can, and in fact, with the right sort of jukes, he might just make it. Gets himself around, doesn't matter. Xingqiu's got the reach with the Fade Bolt, as EHOME will be able to knock Mickey out of the lane.
So, very good result out of this bottom lane so far. Leshrac, similar to the Invoker, playing in the safe lane where it's just up against a very hotly contested lane in a kind of bad matchup. We'll have to see if this Brood starts looking to rotate around the map. Isn't rushing the Ag Scepter, going for the fighting build with the Diffusal, so won't have that kind of global presence with the web network. Does mean there isn't really much help coming Leshrac's way anytime soon outside of his own supports.
And overall, what, 3-0, but gold fairly even as yeah, all sort of respective positions in the same place from either side when you look at them head-to-head. When it comes to how much they're getting from each of their lanes.
Kind of Brood in a nutshell right now as this mid laner. Even when you have these quote-unquote counter picks, the Brood still outfarms you. She just has too much jungling potential with this medallion. You just clear waves so incredibly fast. And that's a Sven who's clearing stacks and jungling as well, but ultimately Brood just doesn't do the same with farm as other heroes. So that's where even if EHOME knew this Brood was out farming them, they're not going to necessarily feel like, oh, that's a bad outcome. Would like to see some more stacks on the EHOME side, like Xingqiu stacking these Ancients. There's a double stack there already, but having more and more stacks for this Sven would be huge.
Sania did step up to go for the D-Ward. It's going to cost him his life, and another death down here on the bottom area of the map. As EHOME continue to rack up those kills, getting Faith Bian closer and closer towards the Vanguard. Of course, down the line, that Crimson is going to help out tenfold against Quakefoot and his army of spiders.
Yeah.
EHOME, they're getting suppression on the mid lane. I mean, the Spiders mid tower is already down to half HP, and BT Faded, he's looking to push on with the Godstrike.
You can't really... Brood doesn't want to come and defend the tower, because if you're bringing Spiderlings, it means Sven's farming them, so he's going to continue to try and force them back again and again. BT Faded definitely the strongest hero in the game at this time, at least until this Brood completes Diffusal. The Mana Burn's going to be very annoying for him to play into. If Liquid do start playing around Brood with their stuns and they can burn through Sven's mana pool, he's very limited in what he can do.
On the top lane, Boxy, his farm continues to keep him on track towards that good blink timing. He's halfway there at the moment on the Blink Dagger Gold.
Sania smoked up around mid, I guess was hoping for a rotation around the Diffusal timing. As said, all you need is a stun to help get you some right clicks in with that Mana Burn, and kills can happen. Here we go.
There we go. Ready to trade some hits and to get aggressive onto Faded. They have the Stampede. We'll keep Faded safe enough. Gets him away from Quakefoot and Insania.
Good Stampede usage. Even the Fade Bolt with some damage block. Probably saving his life there. And that's your most key hero on the map to keep alive, the Sven, so we can keep farming. But you can see there the damage potential. He is definitely a kill they can be going for.
At least once he's got that Echo Saber out on him, and as long as he has the God Strength, he should be able to sort of pop the ult and turn it, and at least sort of instantly clear out the spiders.
Yeah, he can't really run now that Brood has Diffusal, and the problem is there's always that mischance from the incapacitating bite, so he's going to hope to be able to turn around and insta-clear those spiders, but a lot of that comes down to the RNG.
See down bottom, a TP is going to come over.
Yeah.
I want to try and abuse the fact that Mickey is alone, drag back into the Hoof Stomp. 897 walks down the lane, he's enraged with the Cold Snap, and Mickey perfectly punished. No hesitation there from EHOME as soon as they were aware that Mickey was on his own. Liquid will try and make something happen maybe towards the mid. A bit of a poke on Faded.
Level 6 Warlock though.
Yeah, it's hard. Especially when you see Faded popping the God Strength. You don't want to be caught out by that setup from the Golem.
That's a rock, Fatal Bonds into a Stormhammer, and you just get blown up. Quakefoot's gone in mid. He wants Y. And we'll get him. Quakefoot saw the Sven was stuck in the river, so couldn't get back to the high ground. And punishes the Warlock for it. But good moves from EHOME all in all, just losing a Warlock, but they aren't able to defend their top tier 1 tower. Invoker TPing bottom. He really wanted those early Urn of Shadows charges. It just helps out your ganking potential so much, so that's a big reason why he was willing to TP for that kill, even if he maybe wasn't needed.
bringing it slowly and slowly closer towards its demise, that tier 1 tower, but Faded trying to do his best to ward the spider away. They are going to go for the smoke, but as you saw, was underneath vision, so Liquid will be well aware.
The adjustment I wouldn't have minded to see Faded make is just get this blink up faster, because he's never able to kill these spiderlings because they're always just microed away from him. So having a fast blink would actually be really nice this game, but does look like he wants to prioritize the BKB.
Talking about quick blinks, Boxy, he has just picked up his. Will come in to try and help out for the kill down bottom, but 897, fantastic quick play there. Straight away with the tornado, getting Boxy caught off as he TP'd in, so there was not the opportunity for Boxy to blink in and follow up that attempt from Insania. They keep the Invoker safe. And now, they might even tap Boxy. He tried to walk forward. There's going to be the swap save from Insania, getting Boxy out of range, but still the Golem is on top of him. The stolen swap from Xingqiu dragging Insania back. The Urn of Shadows, and there's the second charge from Xingqiu, trying to bring him into the reach of 897. Tornado is out. Insania got to deal with that Golem. Hand of God will keep him alive, but the vision's there for the Fateball. Great three-man stun though. Minkay, he's looking for the setup. Turnaround. Boxy's in. Follow-up Avalanche. And it's actually Liquid that end up coming out on top. They're taking down all three of EHOME.
Wow, Mickey with the turnaround. That three-man split earth was just insane.
They were not ready for that coming from the trees.
Yeah. That damage output. The Warlock ultimate not really used to great effect there, and then Mickey's able to just get back into the fight and wreak havoc.
Unless we'll be able to catch that again, because that was really quite a setup if we see here. So at the start, you know, it was taking EHOME a long time to get these kills right. Swapping around, they have to focus Insania. They don't get Boxy. It takes them so much effort to kill this Venge that the time's just there for this great response from Liquid to come in.
Bit of a dive coming back in the game as well. But yeah, there's the three-man split earth. Just so much damage coming out to follow it up. This is really where Leshrac, if you're not bursting Leshrac, he's just able to tear you apart.
And off the back of that, they were able to push right round down on the bottom lane. Tier 1 gone. Tier 2s are going to be next on the menu for Liquid, as they now have a 3K lead. 14 minutes in, everything sort of going the way that they'd hoped with this sort of this high action draft that they have. This core tiny spider, they're starting to take over the game at a good time.
Yeah, the Brood is well and truly taken off. Level 15 talent, the cooldown reduction, a nice little power spike for Quake as well, and the BKB just 200 gold away from it. So going to be very few options for EHOME to deal with that.
See, they'll get themselves a quick and easy one onto Tiger. TP comes in from Insania, but no way for him to help out his teammate in time. They pop the God Strength for this Faded, and he's not going to find much more with it by the looks of it. The camps will respawn, so at least able to farm up a few of them. And Boxy continues to make those blink plays. Xingqiu slightly out of position. Boxy's in with a quick 1-2, and certainly starting to maximize the effect of getting that good blink dagger timing. 3-0-1 on the offlane Tiny right now.
Yeah, the Radiant Ward is kind of scouting out so much in that enemy jungle. It's set up that kill with the tiny blink initiation and also scout the smoke.
And there he is, Boxy again, from top lane down towards the bottom half of the map. He's all over the place and causing a lot of issues for EHOME here as they continue to sort of just lose support after support.
5 of the 6 kills he's been in. It's been a kind of low action game, but the first like 8 to 9 minutes of this game was a very much a laning stage. Let's everyone farm. The game hasn't begun yet. It wasn't until like the first few items came out that the game really begun for Team Liquid, and suddenly they've just taken off, getting kills with this tiny blink dagger. Now they're into Roche. EHOME either don't suspect this or just feel like they can't contest it.
And as you can see, you know, some of their heroes continue to take such a hit in the gold. The Invoker incredibly far behind. EHOME, they're going to try and charge in. Roshan's already been taken, and Insania's able to swap back Boxy. Now Faded, he's on the front lines, and of course he doesn't have the God Strength ready to go, so they cannot choose to fight this EHOME. They've got to back off, get everyone out of there. As Liquid, 16-minute in, Aegis underneath their belts, still holding on with that 3K advantage. Everything continues to go to plan here for the Radiant side.
Yeah, I think for EHOME, you really want to try and get this central blink up and play around that as much as possible. If Centaur and Sven can get blinks around the same time, they'll have a lot of playmaking potential. But EHOME feeling under a bit of pressure to make something happen now. We're going to leave Centaur to farm while the other four go for a smoke play.
See what they can get. It is that smoke into an Aegis, but maybe just a quick pick on the support Tiger. It's been spotted. Boxy, he's going to be the one to start things off. He's in with the Avalanche, and already 897 brought down to half. They get the Golem, drop down onto the three of them. They'll turn towards Boxy, but a great swap from Insania. Keep Boxy safe. Faith Beyond is there on the high ground, looking for the wraparound. Straight on top of Mickey with the Who Stomp. They're bringing in the Sven. He's BKB'd. Godstrict, has he got the damage to bring down this Leshy? He has not. Mickey's just able to walk away from him. Quaitfa's now going to turn up towards the fray. Only Insania to fall. The Golem's getting low. Boxy jumps in. The toss back into the two-man Avalanche. He's caught the two of them. Faith Beyond's falling low. The Centaur gets one more Who Stomp out, but he does die. Faded as well with the BKB wearing off. Cannot escape. As EHOME, they look for a fight. They get Insania and Boxy, but they lose two cores themselves, and the two cores that arguably the game is most important for at the moment. You know, Faded and Faith Beyond, they're the two ones that could have a little bit of an impact. But they end up falling in that attempt, that sort of first fight with the BKB Godstrength. We'll see it again here. They really wanted to make something happen, EHOME, but it's just too hard for them to get the kills quick enough. The sustain and sort of these swap plays from Insania, they always just take that quick kill away from EHOME.
Yeah, the positioning was such that Chen was the one scattered out, and Invoker does not want to throw his spells onto a Chen. It's just the least value hero to try and focus at the start of a fight, it feels like. And Sven's BKB gets some good damage out, kills a support, but once it's wearing off, Boxy's just in. He's like, all right, we've got this perfectly. The Avalanche is there, the Split Earth, the AoE stuns, just destroying them.
And even with Boxy dying, just the amount of plays he's been able to make, just shaking up EHOME each and every time. 4-1 and 3. These tosses into Avalanche is just setting up for Mickey to come in and do the damage, have that follow-up. As Liquid continue to keep this game on track. 8-9 on the kills, but the gold 4K advantage. And still with that Aegis on Quakefer, of course.
Yeah, and that's where I'm just not a big fan of that smoke there, because neither of their initiators have their blinks up. Both Faith Bian and Sven were close, but not quite there, and just feels like if you're going to make a smoke into an Aegis, at least have the ability to jump them and get those insta-kills so you can take out somebody who doesn't have an Aegis, make it a fairer fight. And at least, perhaps for this next fight, we will see those items. Faith Bian just completing his blink now in the mid lane, so double blinks are up.
Yeah, but you know, catching a support is just no longer good enough for EHOME. They've got to try and lock down one of the cores first, but it is hard. It's hard with the old Venge in the game, Insania each and every time, taking those cores away. As you say, perhaps with the extra blinks, the extra sort of catch, they can play around the sort of getting someone on top of the Venge as well to make sure there isn't going to be that save, but so far Insania's positioning has been pretty on point.
It's hard for EHOME. They're just not really getting the farm and items they'd like on 897's Invoker. This is, I mean, to go back to your question, one of the biggest downsides of playing this safe lane Invoker is that this hero just doesn't quite farm very well as a safe laner. You get pressured a lot more, and you don't get that chance to kind of recover or make moves to recover because you're under-leveled. And his net worth has suffered because of it.
It's just all about setting up a team fight where Faded is able to use his power, because he's still, you know, his farm is looking very, very solid, keeping on par with that of Quakefer's Broodmother, and top lane Mickey was pushing out entirely on his own, going very deep as the Lesh.
Yep. That's a Rod of Atos Rubik. What in the hell is that? That's something new.
Different.
Yeah, different, new, interesting, unique. It gives them some kind of control and lockdown, but like Brood has a BKB. It's a very expensive item too. Not your everyday Rubik build, your Aether Lens, Blink Dagger, Force Staff type items.
Yeah, we'll see how much that catch can do for him. As top lane, Faded, he's going to poke at the tower. Boxy not quite able to get the combo off. Faded with the quick fingers. Blink back, we'll get him back to safety.
Didn't have anyone behind him either, so it doesn't look like Boxy was really looking for a kill there. Just looking to perhaps force out a BKB.
Faded getting closer and closer towards the AC.
Yep.
to help out his team, and sort of the game falls into the passive parts. It does show how quickly this Fang can farm. As you see that Liquid gold lead shut down a little bit. But a poke onto Faded. He is going to try and turn.
Stolen
onto Quote, but they'll lift him up, but there's the save. Insania will be able to swap Quote for and bail him out. And he needed it.
Yeah.
That was very close to being a very dead spider as the Aegis was gone. Of course, it was only that one life he would have had to rely on, but Insania having to help out his teammates once again.
Faded already down to a 7-second BKB though. So we're only 22 minutes in and he's chewing through those charges.
And as you said, you know, it's never fun against the Brood.
Yep.
Once that match community's gone, one touch, and the amount of effective damage you're able to do in a fight is just heavily reduced down to that mischance being applied.
There's so many stuns as well. The Venge, Tiny, and Leshrac, potential Chen creeps, so game where that 5-second BKB could limit him a bit, but if he can continue to stay atop of this net worth, he may have the items to just dish out enough damage in that 5-second window. The key is getting on top of a target that you blow up, which means you can't allow Insania to get those swap saves in these fights. Otherwise, you're just wasting your BKB to kill a Venge.
Down bottom they head, EHOME. Tiger, the only member down here, and keeping himself safely behind that tier 2. Faded is going to show, so Tiger.
Liquid is smoking. They're headed down here.
They're going to look for the wrap right, especially with the 2 cores showing.
There's no Centaur. He's top lane.
Liquid's going to know that this is a good fight for them to take.
Yeah.
If they can catch EHOME on the retreat, you are going to see a long TP, but ooh, not long enough for Liquid to get the catch on him. Y will get out.
That was so close to them getting 1, maybe 2 kills there if they would just a little bit faster to get down that bottom lane, but EHOME will be happy to not see a fight happen there with Faith Beyond hugging a tier 2 top tower. He was on the furthest away possible part of the map.
Gonna try and go on mid. This dive.
There's no Venge.
There's no backup. Quite, but he's out alone.
Yep.
And with that in mind, well, they'll get that kill. As we saw last time, it really is that Venge swap that is the only thing that will save him from a full jump on from the entirety of EHOME.
It's always this game of chicken where VT Faded goes at him, like jumps in with that Stormhammer, and you're like, is he really trying to kill me? Do I need to be, because he could BKB that. Quoikva has the mechanics to BKB dodge, but in his head he's thinking, oh, he's just trying to bait me. He doesn't actually have backup. He's not really going for this kill, but that time around EHOME did have the damage and the follow-up, and Quoikva going to lose that game of chicken.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly expect next time around, Quoikva, he's not going to hold back on the BKB.
Yeah.
That's just, you know,
and next time around, maybe Faded will be alone and just throwing a blink stun to try and bait it out. You know, it's always a fun thing to watch.
Going for those good old school hard-hitting Sven items, the AC into the Daedalus for Faded.
Nice, I like it. Could always consider like the Bloodthorn or MKB against the Brood, but he's looking at this point. The Brood doesn't feel too scary as like a carry, right-click and carry in these fights, so I don't mind this at all.
Yeah, I think because sort of as we saw, if they do sort of get that initial stun onto the Brood without the BKB, they have that much follow-up that they will kill the Brood quite easily during the BKB duration of Faded, and before Quoik was able to turn and do anything back himself.
Yeah, where this game's difficult is just when he's not able to stay on top of people. I mentioned the Venge swaps. It looks like Tiny has an E-Blade queued up, so I think Liquid recognize Sven is pretty much all the damage output, so if we can kite him around, and there's a lot of items you can get to do that, things like Force Staffs, E-Blades, outside of your spells, it's going to be a very Liquid-favored late game, because Invoker is not really scaling all that well.
No, for sure, it's you know, it's all about EHOME just getting the burst kills. They have to get someone in that initial jump that they make, otherwise it's very likely that they won't be able to outdo Liquid in the team fights. As Liquid's abilities to sort of dive in and out of the action and take the fight on their own accord is much more superior to that of what EHOME's able to offer.
And there's not many amazing Rubik spells this game as well, which is something that limits EHOME's team fight. Some of these stuns is probably what he's eyeing off, a Split Earth or a Tiny Avalanche. Definitely good spells, but nothing like game-winning.
And sort of as you called as well, Faded, he has shifted to upgrading for the Bloodthorn rather than the Daedalus. And I think for as you mentioned, especially with your BKB getting low this early, you're going to need that. You're going to need that sort of guaranteed hit.
These fights are going to last longer than the 5 seconds.
Roshan, they're going to head over. They're stampeding in. Can they get themselves towards the pit? They're going to head out. Liquid's going to look to try and take the fight. The golem's been dropped down. Quaitler, he's getting low. He's stunned up. Can he get himself out? It can. Insania will be able to swap him to safety. Now he puts the BKB, but he still has to respect the hits of Faded. He cannot stand near the Sven.
They left Roche so low. Both teams have used BKBs here. Sven just wants to finish off Roche.
He's in.
Yeah, I don't think Liquid necessarily know this.
But he's now going to look to walk out the pit and walk into Boxy. He was ending up sitting by the mouth of the Roche pit.
God's strength has ended though.
Boxy is going to look to jump forward, goes for the 3-man avalanche. The follow-up from Mickey gets the 2 of them with the split off. Fade Bian stepping back in. Who stomps on Mickey to hold back the Lesh? A follow-up stop from Faded. He gets the 2 of them. Focusing on the Mickey. Mickey will use himself up to buy some time. Quite for turns back with Boxy. Faded is dead. They've got the Sven and Boxy. He's not done yet. Jumps forward with a 3-man avalanche. EHOME have to get out, as Liquid will be able to hold on to that fight around the pit, pushing EHOME back out of there, but they're still a little careful about how they go into Roche. It is low. There is no Sven.
EHOME is so low here though, but they're relying on Invoker. Unfortunately, they guessed wrong with the Sunstrike, and I think now that you've missed that Sunstrike, you may just have to back off. With Sven dead, I don't think they can contest this Roshan.
Liquid should be able to clean this one back up. Yeah. Quaifer's back in, pops the ult, and they will claim the Roche, going the way of Liquid. Aegis and Cheese will be theirs.
Boxy is just so impressive with these. He blinks on one hero, tosses him to his teammates, and sets up these like 3-man avalanche split earth combos. Like the fact he can actually force him to group up with the toss there is just so nice. It's the second time he's done it this game. We saw it earlier in the Radiant jungle, and it's the same play he makes once again. And Sven's still dead for 15, doesn't have buyback. Lesh is keeping home to get some items and will have Boots to Travel or the Chen recall.
So they can go for Boxy. Walks straight in, gets the toss back on a Faith Bian. Faith Bian, he's in trouble. They will get the Stampede. He's already used that BKB. Had to use it to get away when he was farming the cap, so he's got it. He hasn't got it for this defense. He's dead for a minute. There's no buyback on him, but now Fade is back in the game. Jumps forward, commits with the BKB and the God Strength. He's cut down Insania. He's trying to step in for more. Mickey puts the BKB. He gets out of range. They only lose the Venge. They do put an end to the push, but they've lost the tier 3 tower. They lost Faith Bian, and they only got the kill on Insania.
That was an okay-ish hold. It just feels like they're holding, but they need kills. They need to be pulling ahead because of what, to me, looks like they're going to have struggles scaling. Perhaps they could have fixed that by 897 getting a Midas just to kind of boost them up towards the late game. Maybe they're going to fix it with some kills like this.
Very well needed catch. This Tiny's been causing a lot of issues for them. They'll find Boxy alone. Take him off the map. Continues to get that cash bonus here for the team. Level 22 on Fader still as his farm continues to pretty much dwarf that of Quaifer. Still a 3k lead on this Sven in comparison to the Brood. He's been keeping his farm game high. So he gets closer and closer towards getting that Bloodthorn done.
Kind of remains dead even on gold. Less than a 1k gold lead at 30 minutes in as both teams split bounty runes. Not much separating them.
It's just that for EHOME, just so much of it is on the Sven that if Liquid can set up the team fight in a way where the Sven is kited and okay, well he changed his mind again. Does commit for the Daedalus rather than the Bloodthorn. So opting for sort of just that better potential of quickly critting down entire sort of teams when they're grouped up, getting rid of the spiders, the creeps, and of course comboing very nicely with the Fatal Bonds if EHOME can get that good setup with a good Golem drop to start the fight off.
Yeah, the Fatal Bonds I feel like needs to be big in these upcoming team fights. They need all the damage they can get. Particularly when there's things like Chen creeps that you can try and get it onto as well with those frontline cores, but people like Leshrac and Brood will be more than happy to try and time their BKBs to get rid of Fatal Bonds.
Nicely done on Quaifer, so will help nullify some of the effectiveness of VT Faded Zone, helping his teammates survive that potential physical burst if EHOME do get the jump on them with the Sven.
Teams remaining very grouped up here.
Let's see what Liquid can find here as they will look to
They have the high ground advantage here on EHOME.
This is a risky place for Liquid to go, and Boxy's going to look to start things off. He finds Fabian, faded in with the BKB, God Strength as well, look towards Mickey. Zampi's pop, they're trying their best to keep this Sven on top of the targets, and he does take down Insania. But again, can they get anything more? As soon as that BKB wears off for Faded, he has to get out of there. Quoique's now the one to push EHOME back.
God Shrine too.
And again, they're sort of committing with the God Strength, the BKB. They didn't drop the Golem there, EHOME.
I think he misclicked the swap there on the Centaur. I don't think he meant to swap Centaur out. I believe he was looking to maybe swap out his teammate, but ultimately it doesn't matter too much for him. It's just his own death. Maybe even want to swap the Sven away from dealing damage, but these fights, when they're going to be very brief for EHOME, because the second that Sven BKB wears off, that's kind of the end of their ability to get these kills and chase.
These fights continue to prove to be very challenging for EHOME, despite how big the Sven is.
It's just so hard to get these kills. The Tiny is such a nuisance with his stuns and all those utility items that he's bringing to the table. The swap is insane. He's always positioning himself.
Top lane, EHOME. Yeah, to bring Mickey down from 100 to 0 very quickly. Liquid. And they will look to jump forward here. Boxy. It's the Avalanche forced forward to try and get the toss back, but now he's in a terrible position. Insania does bail him out. Of course, once again, this will cost, by the looks of it, Insania his life. As Faded focuses him down, pops the BKB to guarantee the kill on the Vengeful Spirit. But again, it is just the Venge. So EHOME, they'll have to back off. That was the drop of the Golem and the death of the Warlock. So space is there for Liquid to continue to clean up these outer objectives.
It took a long time to drop the Warlock and didn't actually end up using Fatal Bonds, but looked like he wanted to prioritize just channeling that upheaval and trying to slow everyone down. And result, pretty even trade. A tier 2 tower goes down, both teams losing a 5 position. At this point, Sven using BKB in a fight doesn't matter because he's already at the full 5-second one.
Yeah, we just constantly see just how small of a window it is, and Faded knows. You see him stick around for a couple of hits, and then he's already leaving the fight. Mid lane. Stampede, having to be popped to keep Xingqiu safe. Try and go for a bit of a poke back, missing the timing there. Faith beyond, so Boxy will be able to walk himself away.
Yeah, and as much as we're talking about the Sven and how he gets kited and has his 5-second BKB, it's a pretty similar story for Quoique, where Liquid are struggling just as much to get these kills, much like EHOME, because their window to get kills in fights is so small. They have the benefit of Tiny's playmaking, I think, to get people out of position, as well as even maybe a Venge swap, so it's a little bit easier for them to approach fights, but ultimately, the second Quoique's BKB runs out, he's afraid to go in. A Cold Snap with a Spirit Vessel charge, he loses that lifesteal from his ultimate, he's also just getting chain stunned, so it's very difficult for him to play into Rubik, Centaur, Invoker, Fatal Bonds as well from Warlock without BKB.
Yeah, it's just sort of, you know, these fights, each time it just, with the, sort of, it's the Chen effect, right? The fact that one team's got a Chen with the Greaves and the Vlads the other has, and the amount of sustain that Liquid have as a team means that, yeah, like they don't necessarily get the kills, but it's always EHOME having to back off from Liquid now rather than Liquid having to ever really retreat away from EHOME.
Yeah. And the part where I feel a little better about where Liquid stands right now is just the fact they have a true, to me, secondary carry that's scaling in Leshrac. Mickey has got an Octarine Core now. He's playing for the late game, playing to be 6-slotted with that level 25 Edict damage. And for EHOME, you know, Centaur, he's got a Heart of Taras. This guy is still just not like a scary carry in the late game the same way Leshrac can be.
Yeah, I mean, he takes a long time to kill, but I guess you just ignore him, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to really bother about Faith Beyond.
I say Centaur because he is the second most farmed on the team, well ahead of the Invoker.
Bottom Xingqiu
Has a blink.
should be good to go.
Yep.
Getting his way out of there. Quoique maybe seeing if he can find someone on the back line. So he's got his eyes on Why in the trees. That is a dead and gone Warlock.
I'm not sure if that'll open up the high ground or not. Probably not enough, particularly when he has a buyback. Faith Beyond has the money for that Heart of Tarask.
We'll be able to go grab it, but does of course mean that his buyback is going to have to take a step back for a bit. Which could be a little scary, especially at this point where Liquid do continue to keep the wave shoved in. And Not at least not quite ready by the looks of it to break high ground. Maybe the wait for the next Roche will be the safer ordeal for Liquid.
So the center with this heart does do a lot of damage with his double edge, and even the stampede damage will start increasing as well. I imagine he's thinking he can kind of try and scale with this. He got the double edge strength damage talent as well.
Faded.
So
Gonna head towards the pick. Gets tossed back into the change stun. Magic missile as well. He's falling low. He's gonna die. Does not get the chance to use the BKB. Will have to buy back. As EHOME do want to try and stop Liquid from getting a hold of this Roshan. Again, these plays from Boxy just catching out the big players of EHOME.
Liquid's just so annoying with his positioning in these trees. Always trying to scout people out. Microing the Spiderling so well. He's a big part of why Boxy can find all these picks. Radiant also have great vision as well. The scouting just means Tiny has had a field day with these tossbacks.
It is scary here for EHOME. They've got to make sure this is the perfect jump. Faded off the back of that buyback. Cannot afford to make any mistakes. He's trying to step forward and E-Blade's out. He's popped the God Strength, but he cannot get in. Boxy just keeping Faded held away from the fight. That will be the God Strength timing out soon, and no chance to use it on the enemy.
Yeah, still's the BKB, so theoretically he could have maybe looked for a jump still, but just didn't feel confident, and they're completely running away from the Roshan pit. This is them, looks to me, giving up Roshan. It is an Ag's Blessing, so we'll see where that ends up.
Yeah, I think it may have even been a spider or something, though. I think something did hit onto the Sven as he popped the God Strength, meaning that he couldn't get the blink.
Yeah, if you can micro Spiderlings well, they are one of the most annoying units in the late game with how much of the map you can scout with them and things like Blink Daggers being cancelled. Just sending off stray individual Spiderlings can be so impactful.
$12K lead, sort of certainly out of nowhere. We saw it a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
It was dead even, but that buyback, Roshan, Aegis, Cheese, and of course the Aghanim Scepter all going to Liquid. That all adds up.
It was, what, yeah, a Sven kill, a buyback, a Roshan, and getting both Shrines. Right there, that's like 8,000 to 10,000 gold swing.
I think now that 12K definitely a better representation of how this game does feel.
Yeah.
As even when it was even, just with the way that it's played out so far, it is EHOME the ones that are struggling the most in this match.
It's been even, but very much a scenario where EHOME can't do a whole lot and feel pressured, and Liquid's just waiting for that mistake or waiting for that, that play. It wasn't even really a massive mistake from VT Fade. It's just Boxy finally found an opening to punish him, and the playmaking from Liquid has been on point. It's just felt inevitable that they're going to find a way to get those picks eventually, and now they're looking for that next one, or they may even consider trying to break high ground.
Trying to get these runes. He's got to be careful if he gets in range of a swap or a setup. The Wave of Terror giving them the vision. They're keeping on top of him, slowing him down. Swap back, pots the Stampede. Magic Missile will look him down for a little bit, but he's got the backup. Ice Wall's down. Mickey, though, he's in with the wraparound. Another swap to get himself into the center of it all. Koifa pots the BKB. They're on top of the Warlock. No spells are getting thrown out at all by Y. Dead for 50. He loses the Rubik too, as EHOME are getting forced back towards the base. Another swap from Insania grabbing him out. Now the buyback's coming to play. Cataclysm is down. The Venge is gone. They turn over towards Boxy. With the BKB up and faded, it finally falls. Avalanche slows him a little bit, but he stays on top of the target. This time we'll be able to get the double kill and take down the Tiny. So they'll push them back. Cost the 2 support buybacks, but definitely well needed to try and take away just a little bit of that momentum that Liquid have continued to build up.
I actually feel like Tiny needs to become the main priority to target first in these fights a bit. It's always going to be difficult. Venge, talk about the swap and how impactful it can be. This is a support we haven't seen much of this tournament, but Liquid showing why it can still be one of the best in certain games, certain scenarios. They gave Venge the Ag's Blessing of all heroes just for that 10-second cooldown on the swap charge restore.
See if EHOME, obviously now with 3 of their buybacks on a timer. It's very hard for they themselves to get much done. We've seen for pretty much the whole of this game, it's all been played really on the Dire side. EHOME have struggled to ever really enter Radiant territory.
Yeah. There's just no item that solves VT Faded's problems on this Sven. Feels like he's always been kited and always going to struggle to deal damage. He has a refresher queued up. This is kind of his like 7th item. Swap it in when you use your BKB Godstrength to have another go, but he's always going to be getting kited around and played with E-Blades, 4-staffs, tosses. Here come Liquid. They've still got an Aegis. They're going to smoke up and look to get into this enemy jungle once again.
Well up here onto Faith Beyond. He is tanky. Instantly pots the BKB as well. Get himself out for the Glimmer Cape and a Stampede to get him away. Telekinesis from Jin Q will make sure that Spider quite can't chase anymore. On the backline's Faded. He committed with a BKB, tried to get the kill, the swap back into the Avalanche. Now Fabian's in trouble. Boxy up to the high ground, tossing the Warlock outside of the base. So again, Y cannot get his combo down. That's Y gone. Fabian as well. Swap as well, of course, with that Axe, able to still help out from the Grave Insania. That extra Venge illusion. Now the buyback from Fabian. His other cores need out. Faded turns, 2-man stun, follow-up who's done from Fabian. They're locking down both Boxy and Mickey. They're bringing them low with the cleave. They'll get Mickey the once. Boxy forced to the side. Setting him up with the Yules. They'll chop down the Tiny. Can they kill Mickey a second time? Boxy's going to buy back. Knows that they have the edge here, Liquid, if they can push on. Still a Warlock gone for a minute. EHOME having to use more buybacks to hold back Liquid.
Okay, without Aegis though, so they may feel there's a play to make.
One Boxy is in, toss back.
Oh,
they've tried to commit here with Faded, falling low, the silence upon him, another swap from Insania, getting him back into the claws of the Spider.
No
As
buyback.
Quackfa eats him alive, Faded is dead for 2 minutes. Faith Bian's BKB will allow him to run away, but Boxy's in, heals up, won't quite finish off Faith Bian. They at least keep the Centaur safe, but with Faded gone, it seems like this eternal struggle from EHOME is getting closer and closer to an end.
They got Boxy though. These double edges doing so much damage. And Liquid just going for the second lane of racks, but I think they're realizing they've got to get the hell out of here.
They've got the setup. Mickey. He's got Quackfa and Tiger trying to do his best to help him out, but Mickey's dead as well.
Yeah, Quackfa's got no BKB.
I mean, if they get Quackfa, Cold Snap,
there's a swap save.
And they keep eyes on him. Insania swap down. Ice Wall's there as well to stop him from being able to run away. Mickey's brought back to help out.
Yeah, EHOME realized they got to disengage. Sven's still dead.
Spirit Vessel charge down. There's the BKB committal to clean up the Warlock.
Level 25 Leshrac, he just shreds buildings.
You can see, you know, Liquid, they know that they're sort of slowly breaking down the final pieces of EHOME. These buybacks being used so they can keep on the aggressive. There's no, you know, they're keeping their foot on the pedal here, Liquid. Even when they're losing their big cores, they're buying back immediately, getting them straight over onto the dire half of the map so they can continue to look to close this one up.
Yeah, they're playing it very safe, but we'll see if EHOME can punish.
Oh, 897 steps forward, gets swapped back by Insania. Mickey's got the follow-up stun, silence is out. 897 needs help, he's not going to get it. The Invoker's dead. He has got the buyback as well available. So does Faded now, but he is only 20 seconds away from respawning, so ideally wanting to be able to hold on to that. They'll nuke down Insania. Mickey, he gets away. Faith Bian tries for the Blink Q stun, but it's not quite in range of Mickey, who was in the trees, and maybe if he caught out that Lesh there, who would have been dead for 2 minutes without buyback. Could have been a little scary for Liquid. I mean, that is the thing. They're playing aggressively with these buybacks, but there is that risk. You know, you suddenly, if you lose sort of your Mickeys or your Boxies and you're now opened up for a whole 2 minutes, things could swing around. They can push pretty reliably. Sven and Invoker, the sort of Alacrity, the AC, they got a lot of punch.
It's doable.
It is. It's not impossible. It's just pretty much as hard as the rest of the game has been for EHOME.
Yeah. There was maybe some small windows to play perfectly on that high ground defense too. Unfortunately, like the Invoker Cataclysm, they didn't quite time it with the Centaur Blink Stun, and then the Yule Scepter was used by Leshrac defensively as well to dodge a lot of damage, dodge the Centaur stun, so just wasn't quite the easy execution EHOME were hoping for, and it is a hard draft to execute in those scenarios, particularly with the Sven down. You need every little bit of damage possible, but Invoker, he's about to hit level 25, so he's got all those levels, and about to reach that kind of late game form that you'd like to see from your Invoker, even if the net worth isn't there.
Whereas some of the cores of Liquid will not have buyback for a few minutes. Faded, as we saw, didn't have to use this, was able to save it up. So he'll at least, as you see, he's the only one for EHOME, but he's a big one to have that just in case he does get jumped and in a situation where he hasn't had the chance to BKB and God Strength. For buyback into his full sort of tool set after Liquid themselves have used their own BKBs and skills could warrant a good defense from EHOME on the high ground, which they're certainly going to need next time round, being 2 sets of racks down.
I think even their best chance is to try and go now. Like, you've got to spend buyback and you're playing into less shiny with no buyback. Try and win a fight and win the game, because you're down 4 racks, you don't have any map control. If you just let Liquid stall out till they have buybacks back up, they get another Roshan, that's Refresher Shot, another Ags. This game, to me, looks pretty difficult for them, but if they can force a fight, maybe even bait the Sven, let him die for a kill or something, and then buy back. That is the best case scenario for me for EHOME to win this game.
Absolutely. They've got 3 minutes to make it happen before those buybacks are back there for Boxy
I think
and
they
Mickey.
smoked under this Spiderling. Yeah, the Spiderling just scouted their smoke, but they still want to go.
See what they can do here. If they can get Mickey or Boxy.
Faded blinks in.
Gets the stun on Tiger. Fabian's going to be there. They're focusing now. Mickey, the columns drop. He catches the 3 of them. Can they get the kills? The Cataclysm's there. Bringing the low, but the Yule's dodge. Mickey, he's so low though. The hand of God heals him up. He pops the BKB and the backup's now there for Quoifer. They'll push back on the Invoker. Faded. Another stun out onto Tiger. Tiger's dead. Buyback from the Chen. Force up to the high ground for Xingqiu as he kites out.
Mickey in trouble.
Mickey on the front lines. He needs help. We've got a stun out onto Fabian. Faded has to back away. With the BKB and God Strength used, he will retreat for now. Mickey will survive, but you saw that. I mean, they got so close to killing Mickey. It's still so hard with the saves. They have 897 found in the jungle, and he is indeed down for 2 whole minutes. That was pretty much the attempt that EHOME had to go for, but they didn't quite get the job done. Mickey survives.
It was just one of those chaotic fights where Sven was trying so hard to find the right target to right click. He was struggling to even keep track of his hero because of all the swaps happening from the Venge. He got swap pulled around, 4 stops going off, and unfortunately didn't find a way to turn himself into the lightning rod he wanted to be. He wanted to be the focus of attention there. He blinked in blindly into 5 heroes because he knows he has buyback there. He's happy to throw away his life for a good fight, but Liquid kind of ignore him and just kite around him.
Let's got BKB and God Strength ready once more. Faded, jumping from Fade Beyond. Mickey's on the front, forced down, and again he blades out, but Faded will be able to remove it with the BKB. Swaps there, Insania will be the one to fall as he saves his teammates once again. Now they can turn and focus. Force down, they try to separate the Sven from the rest of the team. Sven's got to get out of there. The Glimmer Cape helping only just a little bit, but the combo's down. Faded's out, buys back. Fade Beyond gets the 2-man Who Stomp. They need to get Faded back over it ASAP. Stun out onto the Tiny. The lift's there, they drag back Mickey. Without that God Strength from BKB, Faded struggling to be able to commit.
They've held though. Oh, they catch Mickey's TP out.
And they finish him. Tiger and Boxy watching from the side.
Mickey going for another TP out.
Ooh, they've got another Atos, Insania. That's the swap save.
Is he baiting or not? I can't tell.
Move in onto Fade Beyond. Fade is trying to help with the Warcry. Throws out a stun. Insania going in aggressively. The Glimmer Cape. It'll not be enough to save Fade Beyond. Dead for 2 minutes. 15 seconds to get 897 back in the game. Y is dead. He has got buyback, so they will have some sort of a defense, but it will be one without the Centaur. As Liquid look to finish off the racks and go for the mega creeps. Fortification slows them a little bit. Now with the BKB, Mickey is not messing around this time. BKB's TP's out, nothing to stop it through it. The mega creeps are there.
I've learned how to TP, guys. Look at me, I can TP out now. Had 2 cancelled before that, which I mean, I don't think he really cared too much. It wasn't like he was in a dangerous position or anything, and Liquid know that once EHOME leave the safety of their base, they completely obliterated all 5,000 health of Centaurs with that Bloodthorn Broodmother. They will be rewarded with Mega Creeps and now Roche number 4.
Yeah. Another Ags, another Refresher. I don't know who the Ags is going to head over to this time.
Possibly Koikva, since he can free up a slot for his last item here. Oh, he's actually bought the Blessing, so he doesn't need it, so maybe it'll just be Mickey then. Yeah, Mickey gets it.
Makes sense. A bit more damage. He's got the got the mana now, of course, to be able to sustain it with this fully slotted Leshrac.
Yeah, the tree volley of Tiny not really going to be super high impact. They don't have any issues pushing out waves, and Tiny hasn't gone for a right-click physical damage build, all in on the utility. And here come Liquid, looking to end this game. Still 30 seconds without Centaur. His buyback actually came back up, but he doesn't have the money for it. Will he get a chance to play Dota, or will Liquid finish the throw?
Tier 4s are going down. Creeps will finish it off. Throne is exposed. EHOME, their last chance here to try and hold them back, but Liquid will pop the BKBs, eat onto the Ancient, and will close up the game as they'll take game 1 of the best of 3. Liquid, the Brood mothering gang, successful here. I mean, EHOME, they saw the Brood, they tried to make alterations to deal with it, running the Sven mid, Invoker safe lane. It was always going to be hard, and I think so that game as well. I said at the start, why aren't we seeing a lot of Sven? I mean, this is sort of an excellent demonstration. Why not?
Yes.
It's just, nowadays, it's just so easy to kite him and ruin his duration of God Strength from BKB.
Yeah, I think this is a good game that can kind of highlight where Brood can be effective in some ways, where it's like, you have this counter pick, but it doesn't matter because this counter pick is this out-of-meta hero that doesn't win you the game. If anything, this Sven as a hero kind of loses you the game because it has so many weaknesses. Brood itself was controlled. Okay, Koikva goes 10-1 and 11. They don't kill him, but Brood doesn't run over the game like Broods of many years ago when it's like, oh, that last pick Brood, we have no answers to it. But you're stuck with a Sven as your only scaling carry, and you have to run Invoker in a side lane. That completely messed up their game.
Yeah. Well, as it's down, best of 3, of course, now in the lower bracket on this round. It's one game with a Brood. You know that they're not going to get it again, so it's just a question of can Liquid do it without a Brood Mother? Because if they're not going to get it a second game, are they, after that?
I don't think so.
No.
I hope not.
Well, we'll see. But as it stands, Liquid taking game 1 against EHOME.
A 4th pick Broodmother leads Team Liquid to a victory here against EHOME in their opening game. But, panel, was it all about the Broodmother? Was it just that 4th pickup was too strong for them?
Like you, it was a tall order, definitely, to try and deal with it. The Broodmother was a monster. He's just so strong. But I liked what they were talking about with the Sven just being this hero that just feels like he's terrible nowadays.
You know whose fault it really is? That's Invoker's fault.
Why is that?
Invoker got picked up so early.
Yeah.
And this opens up this, they had so much time to plan for that Brood, and they were like, what are they going to do now? Then they sent a Sven mid.
Yeah.
They needed a scaling mid-hero that can deal with Broodmother. Are there many of those?
Tiny, which got taken by Liquid.
Is he even that? I mean, even that is he doesn't really.
It's not great.
He scales in a different way, like Sven.
Right.
All the heroes that you could talk about, like Monkey
Kunkka,
King would be
Tide.
another one that's not really in the meta a whole lot right now.
They're all
so.
semi carries, or Sven's the hardest of them, and they
Yeah.
went for it. And, well, we saw what happened there. So I think that Liquid did a great job playing around cooldowns. I think they identified the fact that they can't fight us without Golem, and if he ever pops God Strength, run.
Yeah.
And their fights looked ugly because of that.
It was like you have to commit super hard, even with low cooldown stuns on Sven. It felt like you have to commit really hard into that because your blink is something that you have to play around, and then they can sort of kite you out and do that stuff. And I just think that cleave heroes in general, now that you got armor, it's there was that window where the Sven had the AC before he got Daedalus, and Brood was trying to build towards the AC, and maybe they could have made something happen there because there's such a big armor disadvantage.
He was Blink, Echo Saber, BKB, AC at 25 minutes. That's super scary stuff. There's not a lot of Sven games that I feel like you lose at that situation, but
It
as
definitely
you said,
seemed
that was
like
the window.
At that window, it seemed like oh, this game actually could be EHOME's here.
Yeah.
It seemed like maybe they had crafted an answer to Broodmother, but then just the incredible kiting of Team Liquid kicked in, right? They were so good with Avenge swaps, with Boxy playing so well on his Tiny, going in and out of these team fights, getting these great combinations with the Leshrac and
Dude,
such.
that toss stun was
that was so sick.
one of the
I love
sickest
that.
plays I've
That
seen.
was
Because
great.
this Sven's all right, I'm gonna kill a Centaur. It's what are they gonna do?
Well,
what are they gonna do to me? Man, what are you gonna do? Stab me, man who got stabbed? That's
Right.
pretty much what happened there.
What are they going to do? Toss chain stun me?
So, oh my God, we've got some very intense graphics right there.
We've slowly been working out. Well, this screen's easy. It's the next screen that we don't quite have have figured out yet. But there you go. There's your breakdown. All the items you guys can see there. The levels. Invoker was level 26, according to that 20. All right, so it's obviously not levels.
Yeah.
But why are some people 16 and other people are? Oh, that's the total. No, I see. Those are different things. So that's like
those
hero
are all
damage,
different things.
tower damage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Camp stacked, maybe.
Those don't correlate with those
Wards,
specific
D-wards.
heroes. Yeah.
Healing done. Is that no? The healing done will be higher on the radiant. Wow.
21
One
healing
day
done.
we'll solve this, guys. Together
By
as a
the end of the
team.
event, we will have it nailed down.
Right.
Don't worry.
All right, can we figure out what the top one is? Is that
That's definitely net worth. No.
Look,
No.
how could liquids be?
And it can't be hero
God.
damage either.
And
Hero
it can't
damage
be
would be much
healing.
higher.
Building
I think
damage?
tower
It can't-
damage would
it
be
can't
lower.
It should be
damage.
liquid, who are favored in. Is this like like anime where you read it right to left?
What did
Or a manga? So it's supposed to be on the other side?
what did
Could be, could
EHOME
be.
do better than Liquid by 6,000 of?
I
Like
don't
nothing.
know.
Damage taken.
Damage
No.
taken, probably.
No, that's too little, though.
It is too little.
It is too little.
I don't know. I don't know what these bars represent. There's no numbers on the bars.
I like these bars because they just have colors. All right,
I know
like
what this means. This is great.
This is, well, I thought, wait, top's win probability.
Yes.
What's
Or
the red
net worth?
one?
Net worth
Is-
experience.
I was about to say, is this net worth experience?
Oh,
Yeah, because it should
probably.
be back towards 0 by the end for experience.
Yeah, and then it kind of even. Wait.
Maybe.
Yeah,
So pretty much
okay.
we figured out that we don't understand a single thing so
no,
far.
Yes, I'd
yeah,
agree
we're
with that.
totally lost right now.
We
These are-
actually do not feel confident
Now
about
we can't
any.
appreciate the graphics around it though. Look at this burning fire underneath. We got the exhaust in the top left, like it's a souped-up graph bar.
Those are very extreme graphics
Yeah, this
for
ain't your-
MDLX.
That boy's got a Hemi. That's
Yeah.
what's going on right
These
there.
are your dad's graphics.
Hey.
And our MVP is
That is definitely not
Mickey / Koifa.
Yeah. All right,
Definitely was supposed to be Koifa there.
man, Mickey, look at that fucking pose though. That is
great.
a, Hwah!
Yeah.
Like that's he's doing some martial arts right there.
I mean, shout out to them. It's really tough to confuse Koifa and Mickey. One is like a 5 foot, I believe he's like Vietnamese
Not
kid who
sure.
lives in Sweden, and the other one is like a 6'4" bulked out German.
Yeah.
So tough to mix
Props
those
to you.
apart, but you
Yeah.
know.
I want to go back real quickly to that stun thing you were talking about, the toss back into the thing.
Yeah.
We watch these tournaments in the other room. There's like a bunch of people around that are like the earlier shift watching it too. Collectively, everybody made the same noise, which was, why is he tossing it back in? And it was like, oh, shit. It
Yeah.
was amazing. It was great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was a sick stun. It was
Yeah.
like as he was landing, it was like perfectly timed to
Yeah.
get it.
So for me, it feels like, yeah, they got broodmothered, but they also got outplayed a bit, right? Like Liquid, it felt like they were overplaying their lineup a bit, especially towards the end where they were just constantly getting these swaps. Again, Boxy playing in and out of these team fights. Is this something that EHOME can rectify with a better draft?
Yeah, I think the Brood was kind of a problem, but I think it all stems back again to that Invoker, like first phase Invoker. I think I wouldn't even mind if you
Yeah.
did position 5 and Invoker. But position 4 and Invoker is just like we have a mid Invoker or we have a bad
Yeah.
Invoker.
Yeah.
There are two options here. So I don't really get like showing that so early.
When he get to the late stage eventually, but he didn't like, he needed that sheep stick like 10, 15 minutes earlier or something like that by the time he got to it.
Those are support numbers.
Right, exactly.
Eh.
So, like, to me, I think that, yeah, the Invoker early on, we identified the draft. We were like, this is really weird. I don't know what they're doing. And it felt like that was the part that really was their undoing. The other thing that I would say, though, is that I think given the fact that they're playing safe lane Invoker and playing Sven, like, basically made it so they didn't have two heroes, I thought that EHOME actually overplayed what they should have. I think that the draft was way more into the favor of Liquid than I gave it credit for at the beginning. So I don't know. I'm thinking that EHOME, if they come out even afterwards, they can make it happen. We'll see.
All right, well, we'll have to see what adjustments EHOME make as we head into Game 2. But first, a short break. Got to make some money.